Supreme Court dismisses appeal against Governor Ganduje of Kano State and Aminu Waziri Tambo of Sokoto State reaffirms their victory at the polls. President Buhari meets with Prince of Wales. Issues of environmental sustainability dominates discussion. Plus, men of the Lagos State Fire Service successfully curtailed fire outbreak from NNPC pipeline explosion in Lagos. All these and more to come your way this Monday morning edition of Panorama. We're reaching you live on the network service of Nigerian Television Authority from the nation's capital, Abuja. Thank you for joining us. I'm Rhoda Anonam. Issues relating to environmental preservation and sustainability for job and economic prosperity dominated discussions as Charles, the Prince of Wales, played host to President Muhammadu Buhari in Scotland. State House correspondent Adam Musamba reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari was in Scotland on a special invitation of the Prince of Wales and heir apparent to the throne of the British monarchy, Prince Charles Arthur George. Simply put, it was a befitting reciprocal honor as the Prince of Wales and his wife were hosted in Abuja by the Nigerian leader in November 2018. During the closed-door engagement that lasted 1.5 hours, President Muhammadu Buhari and Prince Charles deliberated extensively on climate change, its devastating consequences on the environment, and sustainable responsive measures.
The major takeaway is essentially that the Prince is now committed to helping to, first of all, get experts into Nigeria to assist in certain areas such as reforestation, which is a priority for us, and also ultimately helping mobilizing investors. The strategy that the Prince really emphasized was a possibility of bringing together huge investors. He talked about having the largest pool or conglomerate of investors ever in the world who would be able to carry out actions that will be, friendly to the environment, but as I said, in a sustainable way.
Challenges associated with the receding lake chart, the farmers' hardest crisis, and other environmental issues confronting Nigeria were critically analyzed and suggestions made on the best way forward. President Buhari and the Prince of Wales also discussed the role the Commonwealth can play towards mitigating the impact of climate change on member nations.
The Prince of Wales, as you know, he is now the head of the Commonwealth, and the next summit of the Commonwealth will be in Kigali in Rwanda in the middle of the year, and looking at very concrete strategies to start addressing some of these environmental challenges, and the possibility of setting up specialist councils of countries that would provide skilled resources addressing different aspects of preserving the environment, but preserving it, as I said, in a sustainable way. It does not have to be an endeavor that just drains countries of financial resources.
Others on President Buhari's entourage to Scotland include Nigeria's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom and his Chief of Staff, Bakari. From Glasgow, Scotland, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, there are strong indications that the federal government is not in a hurry to reopen the nation's land borders partially closed by the federal government since last August to check smuggling activities. President Muhammadu Buhari, who dropped the hint while playing host to the Nigerian community in London, however, maintains that the action was not aimed at punishing the country's neighbors. Again, let's join Adam Musambo for this report.
Amongst those representing the Nigerian community in the United Kingdom at the interactive session was the reigning world heavyweight boxing champion, Nigeria's Anthony Joshua, who made a symbolic presentation of his 4 belts to the Nigerian leader. President Buhari used the opportunity to appreciate members of the diaspora community for making Nigeria proud in their various fields of endeavor, as well as significantly contributing to the nation's economy through their remittances. The president thereafter brought his guest up to speed on his administration's genuine efforts at taking Nigeria to the next level in fulfillment of pre-election promises. The closure of the nation's land borders, for instance, he said, was in furtherance of government's commitment towards securing the country and stabilizing the economy for a sustainable future.
My aim of closing the border is not to punish my neighbors, but to take stock of what we need to do economically and security-wise, to stop coming drugs, to stop coming arms, among others, to be in charge of our country. We found out the farmers were celebrating and were asking me to keep the borders closed. In fact, I warned the governor of Central Bank. I said, if he gave a cent to anybody importing food, me and him, we can produce what we eat, and that we are doing in Nigeria, and we don't regret it. We are saving hundreds of millions of dollars, for importing food. Some of it I know is fraudulent.
The president also promised to sustain efforts at ensuring that the nation's assets illegally taken away by those who do not mean well for the country are fully recovered and effectively utilized for public good.
Anybody that is caught, we will make sure that he is tried, no matter how long it will take for him, and whatever belongs to the public, we get it back.
Speaker after speaker at the event described President Muhammadu Buhari as a godsend to Nigeria and promised every support and assistance to the nation's upward trajectory for greater tomorrow.
This is one head of state or president that Nigeria will never and must never forget.
So thank you for continuing to sacrifice for a country that everybody says is just.
And hopefully by the time you leave office, it will be difficult to go back to our old days.
If there's anything that you guys need me for, I'll stand up for Nigeria, for sure.
The president is doing a lot, and all Nigerians, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of religion, must unite to support this president so that he can lead us to the greatness that we all desire and deserve.
What next after this kind of engagement with the president?
They're all interested in investing in their country. We create a platform to make that happen. Nigerians in the UK control over £100 million economy. Billions that can, we need to work together. So we keep passing the message from Mr. President, let's work together to build the Nigeria of our dream.
President Buhari is in London for the UK-Africa Investment Summit starting on Monday. From London, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now let's turn our attention to the judiciary, where the Supreme Court has dismissed the appeals challenging the victories of Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano State and Aminu Tamwa of Sokoto State. The five-man panel of justices led by Justice Sylvester Oguta gave the verdict this Monday. Now let's join our judiciary correspondent who is live from the Supreme Court, Dele Atumbi. Dele, it's good to see you. Dele, give us a sense of what the judgment is like. It's out, of course. Two have been reaffirmed. Tell us about this judgment.
Thank you, Rhoda. The truth of the matter is that the Supreme Court has just reaffirmed the elections of Governor Ganduje of Kano State and that of Aminu Tambuwa of Sokoto State. The Supreme Court said that the lower court were right in their argument in giving the judgment to Governor Abdullahi Ganduje and that of Aminu Tambuwa of Sokoto State. And don't equally forget that some of these cases that have been decided, aside from the Imo matter, the Supreme Court has been following the concurrence of the verdicts of the lower court and the tribunal. Today, too, two other matters had come up. The issue of Plateau State and the matter of Plateau and the matter of Bauchi State. In Plateau, the governor of Plateau State is equally cross-appealing over the matter. And that of Bauchi, the former governor who was the candidate of APC, and the APC are challenging the declaration of Bala Mohammed as the governor of Bauchi State. The Supreme Court has given a time for it to give a judgment on these matters. It has said that by 3 o'clock, all of us should come back. And at the end of the day, the court is likely to give its judgment at 3 p.m. on the last two matters. That is the matter which is pending in Bauchi and the one that has to do with Plateau State.
Okay, so Dilly, tell us, what's the atmosphere like now? So far, there have been no surprises.
Well, if you are talking about the atmosphere in the Supreme Court, the truth of the matter is that the security here is very tight because the two judgments are likely to be delivered today. And beyond that, there are some governors that came for the matter this morning. And they are likely to come back at 3 o'clock.
All right, thank you very much, Dele. We'll continue to stay with you for more updates from the Supreme Court. Dele had to be there for us from the Supreme Court. Let's take a short break. When we come back, Panorama continues, so stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you've just joined us, you're watching Panorama live on the network service of the NTA. As we told you earlier, President Muhammadu Buhari is attending the UK Africa Investment Summit in London as we speak, and now we're just going to look at Nigeria's perspective to this investment summit. I have joining me in the studio Tefa Ibrahim, who is an economist. Tefa, welcome to Panorama.
Thank you very much.
All right, Tefa, UK has pulled out of the EU. That divorce is settled, just waiting for January 31st. Looking at the fact that Nigeria is going into a continental market, what is in this for us?
Okay, basically, over the years, the share of UK trade with Africa is declining.
Okay.
It used to be very large in like 20 years ago, but recently it's around like 10% and less. Africa in general, the top 4 trading partners with Africa is like Germany, US and other countries, while UK is like in the bottom 3, if you rank it in terms of the top 20 economies. So basically, for UK, looking at increasing its share of trade with Africa, especially in this in the context of Brexit, is really, really critical. Because for the UK, it's not just the Brexit now, but they are also faced with this issue of trade deficit. UK's trade deficit is increasing. And for the UK, the contribution of goods trade in its GDP growth is very low. It is services that is doing a lot of the growth. And Africa, with its large population and increasing potential in the services sector, UK will definitely want to increase its share of trade with Africa.
All right, looking at the fact that this administration is trying to diversify the economy, how can we tap into UK's agricultural prospect?
Well, basically, if you look at the way the president went to this summit, or strategic, first of all, he went with Gombe State Governor and Abia State. Gombe is one of the northeast states that is faced with this insecurity issue, but their potential in agriculture cannot be emphasized. Then Abia, on the other hand, has this potential of trade, indigenous domestic investment. So basically, that combination of the governors he went to is also strategic. But again, what is dominating this discourse is issue of sustainable finance, clean energy discussion, increasing trade with Africa in terms of its with UK in the context of Brexit. So for Nigeria now, the issue will be, remember, there's a good news for Nigeria. The president became the president of the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council since 2015. So for Nigeria, considering its share of GDP in sub-Saharan Africa, the president has gone there with a full commitment to ensure that Nigeria benefits in this trade. But importantly, for us to grow our share of agricultural trade with the UK, we must work on value chain development, packaging, product screening, and ensure that quality products are supplied out there.
Finally, looking at the investment summit that is ongoing, of course, UK Africa Investment Summit, that's the first ever. And the fact that Nigeria is participating is very strategic. But then do you see this leading to job creation and more economic growth for Nigeria, especially taking it away from this particular summit?
Yes, I see definitely job creation and growth for Nigeria. But before then, Nigeria's position needs to be harmonized. The UK is definitely looking out for this trade in terms of what they can get. And Nigeria too must be very strategic about what we can get as a country. But again, like I said, why the UK is concerned about fixing their trade deficit, which has a negative spillover on their current account deficit, and also the volume of foreign aid it gives out and foreign investment, Nigeria must also see what kind of investment to attract.
Very briefly, what do you see President Muhammadu Buhari putting on the front burner in this summit?
Issue of the recent trade pact that we have, how will I put it now, the pact Nigeria had entered with the UK to fix issues of insecurity and issues of migration, illegal migration. And then secondly, Nigeria will also want to know about its own position. Where do we stand with the UK now that this issue of Brexit? And in that context, the president will need to go beyond interacting with the prime minister and all those people, but to also take advantage of the head of African governance that will be there, the business CEOs that will be there, another head of international organizations that will be there to see how Nigeria can benefit.
Definitely. We're aware that there will be sideline meetings that will be holding with business entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, Tefa Ibrahim. Thank you for coming on Panorama.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
All right. Tefa Ibrahim, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
The federal government is to work out modalities to set up and strengthen the legal basis for the franchise administration being administered by the National Office for the Technology Acquisition and Promotion. Minister of State, Science and Technology, Mohammed Abdullahi, confirmed this amongst other plans and objectives the ministry hopes to achieve this year, which are essentially focused on energizing the Nigerian market and economy for job and wealth creation. He said most franchise that comes into Nigeria comes with a lot of baggage and therefore needs proper regulation. He commended NOTAP, an agency under the ministry which has been able to establish and check the franchise in a manner that it develops local content and job creation.
So we want to strengthen that legal framework for franchise in terms of regulation so that every other franchise that will come to Nigeria must be able to adapt, to local content, in such a manner that it will comply with the executive order number 5, which provided that virtually whatever contract we're going to do in the country now, you should have some local content to ensure that our engineers, our experts, are given the necessary support to also exhibit their skills and talent.
Regarding funding research and development resource for commercialization, the minister said the ministry will be exploring the options of engaging venture capitalists. Now, Katsina State Police Command has neutralized 2 kidnappers and rescued a victim of kidnapping after engaging in a gun duel at Yakatola Lata village in Malufashi local government area of the state. Abdul Malik Hassan reports that the police also apprehended a kidnapper at the scene of the incident.
The rescued victim was abducted at his residence at Government Girls Secondary School Malumfashi staff quarters of Malumfashi local government area of Katsina State, with 50 million naira ransom demanded for his release. However, the incident took a different dimension when the Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the Katsina State Police engaged the kidnappers in a gun battle at Yertalata village of Malumfashi to rescue the victim. In the course of the gun duel, the police shot to death 2 kidnappers and 1 was arrested, while others escaped. The State Commissioner of Police, Sanusi Buba, reiterated commitment of the command in the fight against kidnapping, cattle rustling, and other heinous crimes.
We are determined, more than ever before, to deal decisively with any individual or group of individual criminals who may decide to contemplate testing the will of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Katsina State, will be severely dealt with.
He called on the public to always support and cooperate with the command in the ongoing fight against the criminal activities. The rescued victim narrates his audio.
I spent up to 2 weeks there. Big phone, called my uncle. Now talk to me, now tell my uncle that if they did not send money, 50 million, they will not bail me out. They were feeding me with bread and mineral the whole stay. I can't move because my legs were chained.
It could be recalled that the state government has restricted the movement of motorcycles from 7 in the evening to 6 o'clock in the morning, all in another giant stride to address the security challenges bedevailing the state. In Katsina, Abdul Malik Hassan, NT News.
Now, the virtues of Islam was in focus as the Islamic Education Trust celebrated its Golden Jubilee in Mina, Niger State. The 50th anniversary had in attendance the Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, Etsu Nupe Alhaji Yahya Abubakar, and the first military governor of Niger State, Admiral Muktala Nyako. Mukhtar Abubakar will reports.
Dignitaries, friends, and associates, as well as the beneficiaries of the Islamic Education Trust, converged in the celebration of the organization's achievements, reflecting on its beginning, present, and the future. The core purpose of establishing the Islamic Education Trust, IET, rests with the Da'wah Institute of Nigeria, and the basic aims include public enlightenment, capacity building of other Islamic organizations and individuals involved in Da'wah, interfaith bridge building for peaceful coexistence, striving for greater social justice, promoting faith-based critical thinking, preventing violent extremism, and promoting the rights of women in Islam. The Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi II, stressed the need for the understanding of various aspects of Islam and what is more important during da'wah for proper comprehension.
Right now, let's take sports. Let's join Amanzi Marcus.